Hello, in this video I would like to share with you how to deal with a narcissist, so stay tuned and get ready. I think this topic gained huge popularity in the recent years because we see that many people are becoming egocentric and also selfish, and somehow we started to use the term narcissist for the mentioned people. We especially applied this expression for rich and famous people like celebrities, but technically when people like themselves is not equal with the narcissism. A narcissist is a person who idealizes themselves even if this is not the reality. They like to highlight their positive attributes and actions all the time, and they like to overlook on their negative, destructive behaviors. These kind of people most of the time arrogant, egocentric, cocky, pretentious and also prideful, and most importantly, they are manipulative. So as you can see, liking ourselves is not equal with the term narcissist. Before we learn how to deal with a narcissist, we have to know how we can recognize them. Check these 6 personality traits if you would like to know how to recognize a narcissistic person. Trait number 1, they praise themselves all the time. The word of nobleness is one of the finest choices for a narcissist. They feel they are better than anybody or anything, and therefore they feel that people won't understand them. These narcissistic people choose their friends carefully. They especially prefer to hang out with people who achieved huge success in their life, especially on financial level. They expect constant recognition even if they don't participate in the process for success, and they like to be in the spotlight as long as they can. In case of any kind of teamwork, you will be 100% sure that a narcissistic person will emphasize that without them the whole team will fail immediately. Trait number 2, they live in a fantasy world. A narcissist creates their own world of illusion which support their lies and creations all the time. We can say that this kind of fantasy is the core of their life. In the mentioned world, they can achieve anything what they want. They can be successful, they can be rich, famous and even beautiful. They strongly believe that the world that they have created, this is the reality, even if the others say different things. If anybody tries to step into the mentioned world, the narcissist will become frustrated and also defensive because they fear that the person who entered into their world, they would like to shake it up. As you can see, this is the reason why is it difficult to cope with a narcissist. They build a supportive system for their own justification, and this kind of justification will protect them anytime when they feel themselves in danger. It's working like a double defensive system, and only the situation can decide which will protect them. Trait number 3, they are addicted to recognition. A narcissist is like a balloon. They constantly need extra air to make sure that they won't be fully empty. They work the same way like a balloon, but instead of air, they need constant recognition to make sure that they won't be failed. Therefore, if you are talking with a narcissistic person, you can be sure that the communication will be one-sided. Anytime when you feel that you would like to talk about your own feelings and thoughts and try to change the subject from them to you, they will recognize this as a betray because you don't want to listen to them. In the end, you will become a selfish person because you just talked about your feelings and you betrayed them because you didn't listen to them. Trait number 4, they deserve everything. This kind of trait is especially true for young adults when their parents raised them as a young narcissist. They like to feel that they deserve everything what they wish for, and in exchange they don't need to do anything for these kind of achievements because they can get these on subject rights. They force their environment to reach their goals, and no matter what is the cost. And what do they give back in favor? Nothing, because they feel that their environment is not as unique as they are. Trait number 5, they live without guilt and shame. Sadly, a narcissist can't identify their own feelings and none of the others. Because of the lack of emotional intelligence, they are hardly able to feel the shame. But anyway, why they should feel in this way? As we discussed earlier, they are unique individuals and they simply don't need to feel guilt and shame, and these words cannot be in their dictionary. Of course, there are occasions when they can experience other people feeling, but it can be only for one purpose. They would like to achieve something with that. Trait number 6, They often abuse people. The last typical trait for a narcissistic person that they like to verbally abuse and humiliate others. These people especially like to come up with the mentioned terms when they feel that they are less compared to others. This situation can happen easily when they notice that they meet with people who achieved real success in their life. When they recognize the mentioned situation, this is the point where they like to come up with the verbal abuse as a chance to make these people less. The joke is obvious because you can't compare the two different persons. A narcissistic never achieved anything in their real life, they are successful in their own world of imagination. Now we have collected the typical traits of a narcissist, so we can move to the next question: how to deal with them? If you would like to deal with a narcissistic person successfully, you have to follow the coming up strategies. Strategy number 1: don't step into the world of narcissist. As I mentioned previously, a narcissistic person doesn't live in the reality, they just create their own world of illusion where they can be successful. In the beginning, the biggest mistake what you can make if you step into this world. Sooner or later you will become the part of their illusion and you will start to feel yourself as a less valuable person. You start to believe that the narcissistic person is much more better than you and the toxic bond will be established between you two. It's important from the beginning to notice all the collected traits that I have shared with you and don't let your emotions and thoughts overrule you. This is a crucial advice if you don't want to fall into a narcissist trap. Don't forget, you are always worthier than a person who can cope with their own feelings. To sum up this strategy, walk with open eyes, and if you notice the mentioned traits what we have collected, leave this kind of person as soon as you can. Strategy number 2, don't argue with a narcissist. When we got into an argument, it's natural that we would like to protect ourselves against the harming words. In a healthy relationship, there is a chance that the argument will be two-sided. You can defend yourself against the harming words and you can share your own feelings and thoughts regarding the argument, and also your partner can do the same, and in the end you will reach a consensus. Sadly, when you get into an argument with a narcissistic person, you can't share your own you. Your reasons won't be heard and your emotions will be unnoticed. No matter what you do, their feelings are always right, and it doesn't matter what you think or say, you are the only one who can take the blame. The best strategy to avoid this kind of situation, if you leave the person as soon as you can when you notice that you don't share the same point of view as they do. Strategy number 3, ask for help. The last strategy that I can suggest to you if you would like to deal with a narcissistic person, if you ask for help. It's not a shame if you sometimes can't cope with your own problems, and dealing with a narcissistic person is especially a tough one. As you noticed, the first and the second strategy is mostly focusing on how to avoid a narcissistic person. Meanwhile, the last strategy can be very useful if you are already in a relationship with a narcissist. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for help if you notice the following things. You are the only one who put effort into the relationship. The communication is one-sided. You always listen, but you never get anything back. You are always the only one who can take the blame after an argument. You are always stressed and depressed because you are already afraid of what will happen if you make a new mistake. Lastly, you are the only one who acknowledges the mistakes. If you constantly experience at least 2 or 3 from the mentioned, I recommend you to ask for help. The help can come from any kind of sources like your friends, family, or professional experts. To sum up, sometimes we are not able to see the bigger picture and it's hard to recognize the destructive behavior, especially if the personality trait is occurring in our own family. Imagine how hard could it be if you suffer from this behavior from your own child. But again, you must seek for help because this problem won't be solved by itself. Although you are not able to change the person, but you can change your attitude towards them. So that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and this might help you to cope with a narcissistic person in your environment, and try to recognize the traits that we have collected and select the right strategy if you would like to be successful against them. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, share my videos, and see you next time.